I'd like to firstly bring greetings to this meeting from the Stop the War Coalition and to thank everybody for all the work that they are doing around Shaker Aamer, around all the other campaigns to do with Guantanamo, to do with Bagram, to do with all these issues of civil liberties. And I think everybody on the platform, we've all probably spoken together a great many times at different times, so we're all sort of familiar with each other. But after nearly 10 years of this war on terror, we all know it's as necessary as ever to have these meetings, to keep campaigning and to carry on the work, whatever government is in power, to carry on this work of opposing our government policy, of ending the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, which of course is still going on, and of closing down Guantanamo, closing down Bagram, stopping the rendition which is going on in many, many parts of the world. All of these are urgent questions for us. I'd like firstly to pay tribute to Shaker Aamer and to his family. Other people here have spoken very, very eloquently about his situation, about his bravery, and I know many of us obviously know other people who've been in Guantanamo, Mozambique, but also other people as well who have suffered in this way. And I'm always amazed at how people in this most terrible of human conditions can manage to maintain their dignity, to maintain a level of self-respect and maintain a level of respect for other people, because that is an incredibly hard thing to do, and I think we should pay tribute to all those people for having done so and for actually being able to overcome what is a human tragedy which has affected their lives and the lives of their families and the lives of their friends. But you see, I think we can't just look at this as individual human tragedies, important though that is, because none of these people would have been in Guantanamo if it wasn't for the decisions of the American government, if it wasn't for the decisions of the British government, if it wasn't for the lies that have been told to us repeatedly about what these people supposedly have done, without the whole system which has led to wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and Somalia and Yemen and a whole number of other places around the world. These are the real culprits, in my opinion, as to why these wars are continuing, as to why we now live in a society where our civil liberties, I think in none of our lifetimes have our civil liberties been as much under threat as they are now. You know, you remember 2 years ago when we had the bombing of Gaza, nearly 2 years ago now, at the end of December it started in 2009. What happened when the young people turned out to go on the streets to demonstrate? They got attacked by the police, they got arrested, they got kettled, just as the students this week and last week have had the same thing happening to them. They go and peacefully demonstrated and they're treated like criminals. And one of the things we have to say, whether it's Muslims or non-Muslims, we are fed up with peaceful protesters being treated as though they are criminals. They have a right to demonstrate, they have a right to be there, they have a right to do all those things. And I must say, speaking personally, I'm fed up with all these terrible crocodile tears about violence and about broken panes of glass and all these other things. These are governments which are bombing people daily in Afghanistan and Iraq. They are people who are putting up with the oppression of the Palestinians. They are people who are doing all of these things. And it seems to me it is the greatest hypocrisy to get worked up about what happens to Charles and Camilla in their car, rather than to worry about the real injustice taking place in the world, taking place in the Middle East and everywhere else. I believe we have to oppose these wars if we want to stop Islamophobia and the attacks on civil liberties, because these things are very, very closely linked. I would like to echo Kate's point about the WikiLeaks case. I think Julian Assange and the people around WikiLeaks really should be applauded for what they have done, because they have put into the public domain things that we should know anyway and which our governments are covering up from us. The fact that the King of Saudi Arabia is desperate to bomb Iran, just as the Israelis are, is something that we should know about. The fact that the British government told the Americans that the Chilcot inquiry wouldn't be effective because it wasn't going to harm American interests, these are things that we should know about. And I hope that all of you, if you can, will join us on Tuesday at a picket of the court in Westminster Magistrates Court, where Julian Assange is next up for this extradition proceedings, and I hope that he will be released on Tuesday, and I hope that all of you will support that campaign. Just finally, I want to say one more thing, that these wars are not accidental processes. They are part and parcel of a system where the United States and Britain and all the major powers in the world repeatedly try and enforce their strategic interests over other parts of the world, and that is what is going on today in the Middle East, in Asia, in all these other places. And it seems to me that we have to oppose what those governments are doing. It's not just about individual wars, it's about all these different things. And of course, these are the people who tell us that we can't afford to pay for our children and grandchildren to go to university, that we can't afford to pay for the poorest people in this country, but we are spending £5 billion a year on the war in Afghanistan.